the basket, and their pressure wasn't the same. Because of that, we were able to get out and play our game.
3 minutes and 20 seconds. That was all it took for the Pacers' 10-point cushion to vanish into stunned silence at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. In a shocking fourth-quarter collapse, Indiana managed just a single-made free throw, while Oklahoma City poured in 31 points to Indiana's 17, flipping the NBA Finals to a 2-2 tie. So how does a team bounce back when its back is flat against the wall?
We got to figure out a way to string them together for a 48-minute game, but we did enough to get a W tonight.
Everything was going according to plan. Through 3.5 quarters, the Indiana Pacers had the game in their grip. They'd weathered runs, out-hustled a young and explosive Thunder team, and with just over 3 minutes left, they were up by 10 on their home floor. Gainbridge Fieldhouse was electric. Fans were already halfway into celebration mode. A 3-1 series lead was within reach, and all Indiana had to do was close the door. But then, the storm hit. What followed wasn't just a scoring drought, it was a total collapse, an unraveling so sudden, so complete that it left everyone in the building speechless. In the final 3:20 of the game, the Pacers managed to score just one single point, a lonely free throw by Benedict Mathurin. That's it. No field goals, no rhythm, no answers. They missed 3 crucial free throws, 2 from Mathurin, 1 from Andrew Nembhard. Each miss draining more momentum, more hope. It wasn't just nerves, it was pressure.
Rebounds, an inability to get key stops was a part of it.
Pressure that gripped the ball, stiffened the passes, and flattened what had been a smooth-flowing offense all night. And on the other side, Oklahoma City wasn't just defending, they were suffocating. The Thunder contested 15 of Indiana's last 18 shots, forcing bad angles, rushed decisions, and hesitant drives. Every possession turned into a desperate scramble. The clock ticked down, and Indiana froze, while OKC smelled blood. The Thunder blitzed the Pacers with a 31-17 fourth-quarter barrage.
We weren't creating
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led the charge like a silent assassin, and the crowd, once deafening, was now silent, staring in disbelief. It was as if Indiana had walked into quicksand and couldn't claw their way out.
And then, we just got too stagnant. The ball was not being advanced quickly enough.
A game that was theirs to win vanished. And the finals, tied at 2-2. Just like that. If Indiana's offense crumbled, it was because Oklahoma City turned Game 4's final stretch into a defensive masterclass. The Thunder didn't just close the gap, they shut the door. Every possession for Indiana in those last minutes felt like they were trying to breathe underwater. OKC's defenders closed out with a kind of hunger that only comes when a team smells a moment bigger than the scoreboard. Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, and Chet Holmgren clogged passing lanes, contested everything, and forced Indiana to take shots they didn't want.
For sure, there's a variety of ways to attack, any defense, any coverage.
And those 15 contested looks out of Indiana's final 18? That wasn't a coincidence. That was a team executing their game plan with surgical precision. But while the defense squeezed the life out of the Pacers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander delivered the dagger. Shai didn't just score. He controlled the game. He dictated pace, manipulated switches, and buried shot after shot, finishing with a cold-blooded 35 points, including a perfect 10 for 10 from the line.
And I just tried to be aggressive, but also just let the game come to me, not try to force anything too crazy.
When Indiana tried to trap him, he slipped through. When they tried to force him into help, he calmly picked them apart. Every time the Pacers looked like they might recover, Shai shut it down. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but it was devastating. This wasn't just a fourth-quarter run. It was a statement. OKC, led by a calm killer in Shai and a swarming defense, reminded the league that they weren't just young and talented. They were built for these moments. They weren't stealing Game 4. They were taking it. By force. If Indiana's offense crumbled, it was because Oklahoma City turned Game 4's final stretch into a defensive masterclass.
Looks like us getting stops. That's first and foremost.
The Thunder didn't just close the gap, they shut the door. Every possession for Indiana in those last minutes felt like they were trying to breathe underwater. OKC's defenders closed out with a kind of hunger that only comes when a team smells a moment bigger than the scoreboard. Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, and Chet Holmgren clogged passing lanes, contested everything, and forced Indiana to take shots they didn't want. And those 15 contested looks out of Indiana's final 18? That wasn't a coincidence. That was a team executing their game plan with surgical precision. But while the defense squeezed the life out of the Pacers, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander delivered the dagger.
We do that, we give ourselves a chance to score easier baskets, play faster. But when we don't, it's harder.
Shai didn't just score. He controlled the game. He dictated pace, manipulated switches, and buried shot after shot, finishing with a cold-blooded 35 points, including a perfect 10 for 10 from the line. When Indiana tried to trap him, he slipped through. When they tried to force him into help, he calmly picked them apart. Every time the Pacers looked like they might recover, Shai shut it down. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but it was devastating. This wasn't just a fourth-quarter run, it was a statement. OKC, led by a calm killer in Shai and a swarming defense, reminded the league that they weren't just young and talented, they were built for these moments. They weren't stealing Game 4. They were taking it, by force. After a loss like that, the box score becomes a haunted house of missed chances. And for Indiana, Game 4 left a trail of what-ifs moments that, if tilted just slightly, could have changed everything.
My coverages, I did a poor job of being at the level. I was back, and then he could come off, and he had so much space. And
start with Pascal Siakam. On paper, he did everything he was supposed to do. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals, a near triple-double in a finals game. He was everywhere. Cutting, rebounding, switching on defense, stripping the ball clean from Thunder players. But even that effort wasn't enough to tip the scales. In those final minutes, the touches went cold, the rhythm broke, and Pascal never got another clean look. Then there's Andrew Nembhard, who spent most of the night glued to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, doing everything short of tying his shoelaces together to slow him down. And for much of the game, it worked. Shai had to work for every inch. But when it mattered most, Nembhard couldn't stop the bleeding. Shai kept coming, and Nembhard's body language, usually so composed, began to fray. And let's not forget Benedict Mathurin, explosive, confident, and fearless. But in the final stretch, 2 critical missed free throws that could have made it a 2-possession game. You could see it on his face. He knew. He'd let the moment slip, and with it, possibly the series lead. Small things, right? A rebound here, a made free throw there, 1 clean stop. But in the NBA Finals, that's everything. A game can come down to inches, and Indiana just fell short. And now, all those little moments, the missed boards, the shaky passes, the open looks that rimmed out, they don't just sting, they echo, and they follow you into the next game. Because when you're this deep in the playoffs, you don't get a second chance to make the right decision. Every mistake sticks, and the Pacers, they made just enough of them to let it all slip away.
It's still so far from the finish line. I'm so focused on the next opportunity and trying to take advantage of that.
While the fans were still reeling and the players looked stunned, Rick Carlisle stepped to the mic with the calm of a man who's been here before.
A lot of the same stuff I was just talking about.
This wasn't panic, it was perspective. Carlisle didn't sugarcoat the loss, but he didn't wallow in it either. Instead, he zoomed out. This is a 7-game series played over 18 days, he reminded everyone. Almost like a coach speaking less to the media and more to his locker room. We've got to circle the wagons. That phrase, circle the wagons, it wasn't just coach speak. It was a challenge, a call to regroup, to reset mentally, and to remember that this wasn't over, not even close. Carlisle knows what kind of emotional damage a late-game collapse can cause, and he also knows the only way to move forward is to make it boring again. Reset the fundamentals. Forget the noise. Back to the basics.
Rebounds, an inability to get key stops was a part of it.
Transition defense, rebounding, free throws. The stuff that doesn't trend on Twitter but wins playoff games. But make no mistake, under the steady tone was a fire. Carlisle's message wasn't passive. It was a blueprint. He's been down 2-2 before. He's seen what happens when a team lets 1 loss become 2 and what it takes to stop that spiral. His belief that this Pacers team, as bruised as it may be, isn't just surviving this series. They're learning how to win it. And while the Thunder celebrated a comeback for the ages, Carlisle was already thinking about Game 5, not as a must-win, but as a moment to steal momentum back, to silence a crowd, flip the pressure, and remind everyone that this final story isn't done being written. When the dust settled and the cameras stopped flashing, it was the leaders who stepped forward, not with excuses but with fire. Tyrese Haliburton, Indiana's emotional engine, didn't dodge the moment.
with Shai, he's so good. He's so slippery, in between those gaps. It's like he splits.
He didn't try to spin the loss or play the blame game. Instead, he made it simple. We've got to play 48 minutes of basketball in a hostile environment. Period. No sugarcoating, no cliches, just urgency. Haliburton knows exactly what's coming in Game 5. Screaming fans, suffocating defense, and a Thunder team smelling blood. But his message was clear. Indiana's not coming to OKC to play catch-up. They're coming to punch back. Then there's Andrew Nembhard. Quiet, stoic, but sharp as ever. He talked about mixing lineups, adjusting coverages, and staying physical with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. No panic, just purpose. You could hear it in his voice. He knows how close they were. He knows they let one slip, and now they're coming for payback. Even Mathurin, despite the missed free throws, didn't hide. He owned it. He felt it. And sometimes that's what matters more than any stat, showing your teammates that the moment didn't break you. Because in these finals, leadership isn't about yelling or rah-rah speeches. It's about shouldering weight. It's about standing in front of the media after a gut-wrenching loss and saying, "We're not done." It's about making damn sure your team believes it. The Pacers may have lost Game 4, but in that locker room, the tone wasn't defeat, it was defiance. And if that mindset travels with them to Oklahoma City, the Thunder better be ready for a war. Now it all comes down to Game 5. Tied 2-2, momentum swinging like a pendulum, and the series heading back to Oklahoma City, where the Thunder haven't just won, they've dominated. The crowd there isn't just loud, it's relentless. Every missed shot, every turnover, every timeout called by the visiting team is met with a roar that feels like it could split the hardwood. And yet, this is exactly where Indiana has thrived all postseason, on the road. As underdogs, written off, counted out, told they don't belong, it's where they stunned the Bucks, where they outlasted the Knicks. And now, it's where they have to take a game from the best young team in basketball. Because here's the truth, they can't afford to lose this one. Falling behind 3-2 against a team like OKC, with a defense this suffocating, and a closer like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that's a death sentence. The Pacers have to steal Game 5. They have to silence that crowd, flip the pressure, and come home with a chance to finish it in 6. And it won't come easy. The Thunder now have swagger, confidence. They know they dodged a bullet in Game 4, and now they want to bury the Pacers while they're still reeling. But Indiana, they've been here before. They've seen the pressure, felt the doubt, and every time they've answered with grit. Now, with the finals hanging in the balance, the question is simple. Can the Pacers punch the Thunder in the mouth in their own house? We're about to find out. Game 4 wasn't just a loss on the scoreboard. It was a psychological blow. A 10-point lead with just over 3 minutes left should have been a dagger, a statement. Instead, it became a missed opportunity so massive that it could shift the entire series. But here's the truth. Every championship run has that moment. That one game where everything goes wrong, where the pressure crushes you, where your confidence gets ripped away in front of your own fans. That moment where a team either cracks or comes back stronger. For Indiana, this is that moment. They weren't supposed to be in the NBA Finals. No one circled their name back in October. They weren't loaded with all-stars. They didn't have the national spotlight. What they had, what got them here, was grit, belief, chemistry, a chip on their shoulder the size of the Midwest. They knocked out Giannis. They outlasted New York. And now they're facing a Thunder team that just stole their soul in the final minutes of Game 4. That's the real test. Not winning when everything's clicking, but coming back after it all falls apart. And make no mistake, Game 5 is war. They'll walk into a building where the fans are ruthless, where every mistake will be amplified, where OKC will smell blood in the water. The Thunder know what's at stake. Go up 3-2 and head back to Indy with momentum, that's the kill shot. But what if Indiana doesn't flinch? What if Tyrese Haliburton turns pressure into fuel? What if Siakam and Nembhard lock in, clean up the mistakes, and respond with fire? What if the Pacers don't just survive Game 5 but own it? That's the version of this story they want to write. Because finals legacies aren't built on blowouts or highlight reels. They're written in moments like this. Down, wounded, questioned, and still fighting. The Pacers don't need to be perfect. They just need to be fearless. And when that ball tips in Oklahoma City, we won't just be watching another basketball game. We'll be watching who rises and who breaks.